Right, so recently there's been reports regarding a redesign for the 15 series, and we do have further details regarding this, so let's delve into it. So in case you weren't aware, what we've heard so far is the fact we should see a rounded chassis with the iPhone 15 Pro series, and the back specifically should have a curvature to it, but the display on the front's still going to be flat. So basically something similar to the MacBook design and of course, the iPhone 5C. Now we have some further updates from a source regarding this redesign, and the first thing they say is that titanium, which of course was mentioned in the initial report as a feature for both the Pros, is actually only coming to the Ultra. Now I'm not surprised by this if I'm being honest, because there's been tons of talk regarding the Pro Max becoming a solo Ultra model in the lineup, exclusively having many features, and so titanium for the higher end Ultra only does make sense. Also, one could argue the Ultra / the Pro Max would benefit the most from this upgrade because many complain about the weight of the Pro Max, including myself, whereas that's not a big issue with the regular Pro, so of course, giving the Ultra titanium would fix this. Also, I'm sure titanium is going to be more expensive to produce, and so maybe we see a price hike with the Ultra that of course does not apply to the regular Pro. However, the Ultra should have other upgrades to justify the price increase, like the periscope zoom and the bigger display. But we know the regular Pro's not getting the periscope upgrades, and it should be a similar size, so Apple can't justify a price increase. So yes, ultimately, while I do hope both models get the titanium upgrades, it does make sense, only the Ultra gets this. Now, like Shrimp Apple Pro told us, this source also does tell us the display is going to remain flat on the front. This is great news because, as I've said in the past, screen protectors are easier to apply with a flat display, and also ceramic shields is a lot more durable. Also, for those hoping for a completely rounded chassis, that's not going to be the case. It seems we're not going back to that anytime soon. Instead, it should be a hybrid design where the back does have a curvature, as I said, but the front should be flat. And I really like this design with the iPhone 5C and the iPod Touch, and so this now with the 15 series would be great. And by the way, talking about the iPod Touch, for those hoping for a chamfered chassis like the iPods, that's not going to be the case, and I'm actually glad about that because I'm not a fan of that. It scratched very easily with the 5S and previous iPhone models, and so that should remain dead. Anyways, let's delve into your comments. So Dan regarding titanium says, I've been wearing my Apple Watch Ultra since day one and I don't have a single scratch. I don't baby my devices. I've been wanting titanium iPhones for a while. So yes, in a previous video I did say that titanium could scratch easily because there were some reports regarding that for the Apple Watch Ultra, but I'm glad that's not the case. So hopefully there's no scratchgate issues with the 15 series. And regarding titanium, shout out to Zeus. He actually reminded me that a few months ago I did discuss an Apple patent regarding an etching process that would help produce colored finishes on titanium. So yes, we should see colors with the 15 series. I was false in believing that color options would be limited, so thank you Zeus for reminding me about this. So Tech Magar says, finally we're getting titanium, and yes, there's been rumors about this for years. I've been wanting this for years, and so I'm glad it could materialize with the 15 series. So Evan Rogers says, Apple needs to make an iPhone 3G throwback, bring back the curve back. And actually, I would love to see that. I was a fan of the 3G, so of course, a modern version of that with the 15 series would be nice. I just don't think it's going to be likely because a lot of these rumors do suggest the curvature is going to be similar to the MacBooks and the iPod Touch, and they're way less curvier than the iPhone 3G. But don't get me wrong, I would love to see this design come back. So Tiny Bear Tim says, wide MagSafe, no USB-C, I beg. So yeah, there's been a ton of talk regarding USB-C or portless. I still think USB-C is going to be the case, but we'll have to wait and see what Apple decides on. So Rasta T241 says, we want iPhone 4 body with round buttons and glass back. Get that, give that to use Apple. So I don't fully get the last part of that comment, but regarding the iPhone 4 body with the round buttons, I honestly am not really fond of that design because I don't like the round buttons, and also the glass wraps around the sides of the iPhone 4, which of course could make it more fragile, so I prefer the rumored upgrade instead. So Tiny Bear Tim says, I'm going to have an aneurysm if they go back to the rounded edges. And like James N says, ultimately the reason Apple's doing this is because upgrades are getting minor year over year, so of course, Apple needs to occasionally visually overhaul the iPhone, and since we've had 3 years of the flat chassis, it's time we see something different. And like James says, just get the 14 and hold on to that for a few years if you love the flat chassis. So Trippy Turtle actually brings up a very good point, and that is, how would MagSafe charging and MagSafe accessories like card holders work with a rounded back? And that is a fair point, but do remember that these rumors are suggesting the curvature won't be as aggressive. So if you take a look at the iPhone 5C and the iPod Touch, the backs of those devices are still flat for the most part, it's just the corners that are slightly more rounded. And so MagSafe and MagSafe accessories should still work. Maybe they need to be redesigned ever so slightly for the 15 series, but ultimately the back is mostly going to be flat. And hey, maybe they take the Galaxy S22 route and go for a rounded chassis, but of course the front and back are still flat. I could see that being the case. We'll have to wait and see what Apple does. So Yahoo says, base models should have 120Hz and high-end models should have 240Hz. And I'm sorry, but 240Hz is overkill for the iPhone, nobody needs that. And 120Hz, as I've said in previous videos, would be nice, but ultimately consumers don't care about that for the base models, and so I don't think Apple needs to give it to us ASAP. So LA Rams fan says, I don't mind Apple keeping 3 cameras for the 15 Ultra/Pro Max, and yeah, I'm in the same boat. I could care less about a redesign for the camera bump. It's something you rarely look at, and so yeah, the same camera bump for the 15 series is a complete non-issue. So David says, plain titanium is fine by me, coatings just show up, scratches even more. And yeah, that's fair, I'm also in the same boat. I like how the Apple Watch Ultra looks, and so I would be fine with that for the 15 Ultra. So Opus Digital Audio regarding the new design rumors says, I don't like this design language. The Renaissance Forest design I have been jonesing for. Now I know many want the 4/Forest design, but to be honest, I've never been a fan of the full design. I hate the circular buttons. I don't like how the glass wraps around the sides. I'm glad we don't have this design yet, but I'm sure that Apple's eventually going to recycle it. Since the iPhone 5 chassis we got with the 12 series was a huge nostalgic factor for many consumers, and so that's definitely going to be the case if Apple does decide to recycle the full design, because the iPhone 4 and 4S were very popular devices. Anyways, that's about it, but tell me your thoughts regarding these reports in the comments. Anyways, thank you for watching guys, make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours. Check out the video in the above on details regarding Apple's VR headsets, and on that note, see ya peeps.